Hello and welcome back. In this set of videos, we are going to learn about graphs. Graphs have found applications in not just in computer science, it has found applications in mathematics, chemistry, physics, biology, and many other disciplines. In the next set of videos, we are going to learn from the computer science perspective. So what are graphs? How do you store these graphs? What kind of data structures are used? And we mainly define and focus on two problems on graphs. One is called as the shortest path problem, and the other one is the minimum or maximum spanning tree problems. We will define what these problems are. We will try to discuss the efficient algorithms to implement solve these problems, and we will also worry about how efficiently we can implement these algorithms. In these set of videos, we may not focus on the correctness of these algorithms and formal proofs of some of the theorems that we are going to discuss, but we will still informally try to understand some proofs and also why some of these algorithms are correct. So that is the agenda of this, so once we discuss these two problems and come up with algorithms to solve these problems, using the same techniques, we will also learn how to solve some related problems and graphs. So that is the agenda of this set of videos. Let's get started with the definition of what is a graph and what are the different types of graphs that we have. So let's first define what are graphs. We will look at the mathematical definition of graphs, and we'll also see what are the different types of graphs that we have. A graph will have a set V and another set which is called as E. This set V along with the set E is called a graph. So where V is any finite set, in this course we will be mostly studying about what are known as finite graphs. So the set V is always going to be a finite set, and the set E is any subset of V cross V. You know that V cross V is the collection of all order pairs of the type A comma B, where A and B are elements in V. This is also called as a relationship on the set V. E is any relationship on the set V. In other words, this is a subset of V cross V. This set V along with the set E, which is a relationship on the set V, is called a graph. More specifically, the set of elements, the elements in V are called as the nodes of the graph, or it's also sometimes called as the vertices of the graph. Since so V is a finite set, we will assume that the number of elements there is n, and without loss of generality we can also assume that the elements are 0, 1 up to n minus 1. If this is not the case, if it is a collection of some other numbers but it has n number of elements in it, then we know that there is a bijection between any two finite set with the same cardinality. So pi of 0, pi of 1, pi of n minus 1 will give you the set of nodes in the graph. So to keep things simple, we will assume that the nodes are numbered from 0 to n minus 1. So n is the number of vertices or the nodes in the graph. So we have seen that E is a subset of V cross V. So this set is called the set of edges in the graph. Since V square can be at most n square, the number of edges in the graph will be any number between 0 to n square. This number, that is the number of edges in the graph, is called as m. I repeat, so n is the number of edges in the graph, which is the cardinality of the set V. M is the number of edges in the graph, which is the cardinality of the set E. So when I comma j is an edge in the graph, then we say that I and j are adjacent nodes, or sometimes we also say that I is the adjacent to j, and in some notations we will also call that I and j are neighbors. So, and also we call that I and j are incident on the edge E. The other way to represent this graph is a pictorial representation, which is easy to visualize. Given n nodes in the graph, we write down n nodes, which is numbered from 0 to n minus 1, and every edge can be pictorially represented by drawing an arc from I to j. If I comma j is an edge in the graph, then we draw an arc from the node I to j. For example, the 0 is 0 1 is an edge here, so there is a edge 0 1 here. There is a 0 2 is an edge, so there is an arc from 0 to 2 and so on. In this graph you see that the number of vertices is n and the number of edges in the graph is n, and the number of edges are as given in this set. The pictorially they are all marked as arrows in the graph. There are two types of graphs that we will see. One is called the directed graphs and the other one is called undirected graphs. The graph that you are seeing here is a directed graph. In other words, the direction of the arrow that we have written here matters. So when A is connected to B, that means that A is an edge in B, does not mean that B comma A is also an edge. That means the relationship that we have is not symmetric. A comma A is connected to B or A comma B is an edge does not imply that B comma A is also an edge. The good examples in real life are you can think of these nodes as the different parts of the city, and if you can directly go from one node to one place to another node because there is one-way traffic, if you can go from the location A to location B, then there is an edge. But simply because you can go from A to B does not imply that you can always the other direction is always connected. In the other graph that we can think of is let's say that the set of nodes are the set of people, and the relationship, the edge relationship can be the nodes, right? This is also an directed graph because I know the Sachin Tendulkar, but Sachin Tendulkar probably doesn't know me. I know the Prime Minister of India, but Prime Minister of India may not know me. Right, so nose is the relationship here. So A is connected to B, but this relationship is not symmetric, so B need not be there in the collection. So these are the two quick real life examples that we can think of directed graphs. Whereas in the undirected graph, the relationship is symmetric. So when A comma B, A is related to B, that means that A is AB is an edge in the graph. BA is also an edge in the graph. So we will only have AB in the collection of edges. And so the pictorially will represent by just drawing a line on this. There is no direction. That means that when you have when there is an edge from 0 to 1, 0 and 1 are related, and this relationship is symmetric. So the notations are exactly the same. When there is an edge from 0 to 1, so we connect 0 and 1. If there is an edge from 1 to 3, so we connect it through a edge from 1 to 3. The examples could be if there are no restriction in the traffic, if you can move from any direction to any direction, then the city network will look like an undirected graph. And if you look at friendship as a relationship on the social media, social networks, then friendship by definition has to be mutual. So two people are friends means that A is also a friend of B and B is also a friend of A. So this is a symmetric relationship. This is a graph, right? So which is a undirected graph. So then, so in this course we will be mostly studying about what are known as simple graphs. Simple graphs don't allow self loops. So A cannot be A comma A cannot be an edge in the graph. So by what we defined as a edge is any subset of V cross V. V cross V always allows A to be connected to A, right? So pictorially, if I have to represent, it will look like A is connected to A itself, so which is not allowed in the simple graphs. So if you don't allow self loops, then the number of edges in the undirected case will be at most n into n minus 1 by 2 minus n, because there will be exactly n self loops. So this turns out to be n into n minus 3 by 2. In the case of directed graphs, the number of edges will be n into n minus 1, because AB will not be same as BA, so there will be double counting that you have to choose. In the case of undirected graph, the number of edges is n choose 2. Here it is n into, in the case of directed graphs, it will be n into n minus 1 minus 1. So this indicates that the number of edges in the directed case is n into n minus 1. So what we notice here is that in both the cases the number of edges can be n square, right? So theta of n square. So if the number of edges in the graph is theta of n square, then we call it as a dense graph. So that means that most of the graphs are already there. If you pick your edge set to be all the v cross v minus the self loops, then such a graph is called as a complete graph. Okay. So the dense graph need not be complete, but most of the edges in the complete graph are still there in the dense graph. If the number of edges in the graph is O of n, that means that the most of the edges are not there, then sometimes we call this as a sparse graph. So other case which might be interesting is the number of edges is independent of n. That could be just a constant number of edges in the graph as well. So but in worst case, what we have to remember is it can be n square, and if it is theta of n square, then it's called a dense graph. If it is linear in terms of the number of edges, number of vertices, then it's called as a sparse graph. So we will also come across what are known as weighted graphs. In weighted graphs, every edge in the graph is associated with a weight, which is a real number. More mathematically, w is a function from which takes an edge and gives you a real valued number. So in the real life examples, if you take the set of vertices as the different cities, and the weight, that is the weight of the edge between them, could be the distance between these two cities, or it could be the cost of flying between these two cities, or it could be if you want to drive from A to B, then how much time does it take to drive from A to B, or if you want to build a road between these two cities, how much it is going to cost, right? So depending on the application, these weights will come into picture appropriately. So in the weights can also be negative in some cases. For example, you can think of a network where there are several banks and there are several customers who have accounts in different banks. So you can have an edge from A to B if the person A has an account in bank B. So this is the directed graph. People will have only account in the bank. So A comma B will be an edge if A is a person and B is a bank. And so if the person has deposited, let's say, X amount of money, then that could be the weight of the edge. So now you clearly see a case for negative weights, because instead of depositing the money, if he has borrowed some money in terms of loan, then the weight of this edge could be a negative number. Similarly, in the case of undirected graphs, you can go back to the social network graph that I was talking about, where people are the nodes, and relationship between them is a friendship, and so you can some way measure the strength of the friendship. So if it's a very high number, means that they are very good friends, and if they don't like each other, then this weight could be a negative number, right? So we can think of such several examples where the weights can be negative. The more importantly, what you need to know is that in weighted graphs, there is a weight associated with every edge of the graph, and these weights can be negative. So we'll quickly look at one more definition, that is the degree of a node. So degree of a node in the case of a undirected graph is the number of edges which are incident on that particular node. So for example, if you look at the vertex 0, there are two edges which are incident on it. So the degree of the vertex 0 is 2. Similarly, if you look at the vertex 1, the degree of the vertex 1 is 4, because the number of edges which are incident on this particular vertex is 4. So similarly, the degree of every vertex is written on the graph. You can verify that these are the right numbers. Repeat, the degree of a node is the number of edges which are incident on that particular node. It's easy to see that in any graph, the sum of degree of nodes in the graph is equal to twice the number of edges in the graph. So in other words, you compute the degree of every vertex in the graph and add them up. What you get is exactly equal to twice into the number of edges in the graph. So for example, this graph has the 5 nodes and 7 edges. So the degree of each of these vertices is 2, 2, 3, 3, and there is a one vertex with degree 4. So if you add them up, you get the number 14, which is double the number of edges in the graph. So it's easy to prove why this is the case, because if you take any edge, this will contribute to degree of exactly 2 nodes in the graph. For example, if you take the edge 3, 4, so this will contribute to the degree of 3 as well as degree of 4. Similarly, every edge that you take will contribute to exactly degree of 2 vertices in the graph. So when you add up the sum of the degrees, this will be exactly equal to twice into the number of edges in the graph. In the case of directed graphs, we have 2 definitions. One is called the in degree and the other one is called the out degree of a node. In degree of a node is the number of incoming edges to the node. The out degree of the node is the number of outgoing edges to the node. So for example, if you take the node 0 here, the number of incoming vertices to this is 0, so which is marked in black. So it doesn't have any incoming edge, but it has 2 outgoing edges. So incoming in degree of this is 0, but the out degree of this is 2. Similarly, if you take the vertex 3, it doesn't have any outgoing edge, so the out degree of this is 0, but whereas it has 2 incoming edges to the this particular node, so the in degree of this is 2. Similarly, we have written the in degree and out degree of every vertex in the graph. Here we can see that the sum of in degree of every node in the graph is exactly equal to m, because if you just add up the numbers that are marked in red, so that corresponds to the out degree. The numbers in black that you add them up, you get 0 plus 2 into 3 plus 1, which is 7, which is exactly equal to the number of edges in the graph. Similarly, the sum of out degree of every node in the graph is also equal to m. So if you add up the numbers in red, so what you see is that there are 3 nodes with out degree 2, and there is 1 node with out degree 1. So the sum of out degree of all the vertices in the graph is exactly equal to 7. So the theorem is that sum of in degree of the nodes in the graph is equal to m, and the sum of out degree of the nodes in the graph is also equal to m. It's easy to see the proof for it, because if you take any edge, it will contribute to in degree of exactly 1 vertex in the node. Right? So when you add up the sum of degree of this edge will contribute exactly 1. So that's why sum of the in degree of all the vertices in the node is equal to m. Similarly, when you look at any edge, it will contribute to exactly 1 out degree of a node in the graph. So if you add up the sum of the degrees, out degrees of these nodes, you get exactly equal to m, which is the number of edges in the graph. So in this video we have seen so what are graphs, the mathematical definition of what is a graph, and we have seen mainly 2 types of graphs. One is the directed graph and the other one is undirected graphs. Then we have also seen other definition, so what is a degree of a node in a graph, and so we have seen one important theorem saying that sum of the degrees of all the vertices in an undirected graph is exactly equal to twice the number of edges in the graph. So this is what we have seen in this video. In the next video we are going to see what are the data structures that are used to store these graphs efficiently. So take a break and come back quickly.